Hello and welcome back to COAGG Conversations. I'm your host, Doom Cutie, and here at COAGG Conversations, we do things a little bit differently. It's a bit more cozy, it's a bit more one-on-one, and it's a bit more personal. And today we are getting up close and personal with Alexandra Lynn. Hello and welcome to COAGG.
Oh my goodness. Hi. Thank you so much for having me. I loved that introduction. I'm all about getting cozy and getting up, close and personal. So I'm ready. I'm so ready.
I figured out along my journey that it's very easy for people to want to talk about themselves, and I think I really wanted to create a really safe and welcoming space for women who are in games to just come on and, you know what, toot your own horn, because we're quite often like our own biggest critics, and imposter syndrome and all those those icky things. So yeah,
Mhm.
imposter syndrome is not allowed here. So you will be hyped up, and the championing is real.
Oh,
But yeah.
it's almost like we were talking about that earlier. We were talking about, learning how to hype yourself up, especially as women in this space, because I feel like it's very easy to not just overlook your achievements, but kind of play them down a little bit. It's so important to be your own hype person. I mean, obviously get people in your corner and get them to hype you up, but being able to advocate for yourself and be proud of your achievements within this space in particular is so important.
Oh my goodness. Well, you know what? I dare say that mindset uh,
Mhm.
has not been something I'm sure that has come natural. That takes a long time of uh, obviously working in this space, and having both positive and negative experiences, and working through them, and
Mm.
striving always, I think.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I feel like I think I've been I wouldn't say I'm like a veteran in this space by any means, but I've been around since I mean, I think I've created content for as long as I can remember. Like I've always had a camera in my hand. I've always been doing stuff. You tried to do video editing on Windows Movie Maker like growing up, and like iMovie on like my friend's MacBook. So I've always been around making content, but I think I started actively taking it seriously in maybe 2019, 2018. And, from that, I found myself in the speedrunning community, and there aren't a lot of women in the speedrunning community. And so I felt that, over my time and my journey of doing that, I had to really, I guess, develop like a sense of resilience around it, but also learn how to be a voice for other women in that community as well. And I remember when I, really, really got into it and I started, being more involved in the community, there were other women who came forward and said how, inspiring that was to them. And that was the highest compliment I could have possibly had. So from that, I guess just developing, a bit of a being able to advocate for myself in that space is something that I, really, really needed to have, within a really male dominated space, within the gaming space.
Mm. Yeah,
Mm.
definitely. Whenever I've gone to conventions, and and seen those speed running events, yeah, it is quite a sausage fest. So I bravo
You're
to
not
you.
wrong. You're definitely not wrong for sure. And it's, I definitely think it's getting better. Like I really do feel like a lot of speedrunning communities are really quite welcoming, and they want more people to
Yeah,
get
yeah.
involved. But there's definitely an element of some people. There are a few, I guess, bad eggs that make it a little bit difficult. And I'm really proud that to say that I'm a part of the speedrunning community, and I feel like it's come a long way.
That's fantastic to hear. I'm so glad.
Yeah.
Um, let's do a little bit of a rewind, and for
Mm.
anyone who's listening, or watching us on YouTube, and they don't know who you are, can you just
Mhm.
give us a quick rundown of who you are, and what you do in the community?
Yeah, of course, definitely. I feel like we kind of jumped around a little bit just
We
then. So
did.
yeah,
That's
let's
okay.
bring it back. So hi, my name's Alexandra Lynn. I would say I'm a content creator. I used to call myself a streamer, but I don't live stream a whole lot anymore these days. But I'm a content creator and a content producer. I started streaming in 2019, and I was doing that full time for quite a while up until about 2022, and then I jumped back into the other side and went back into the workforce, and I found myself in community management and social media management, and essentially content production as a whole. And now I am a video editor and content specialist for a talent agency here in Australia. So I guess I've had the chance to build up my resume a little bit over the past couple of years. But yeah,
Bravo,
that's what I
babe.
do. Oh, thank you. You're so kind. Thank you.
I tell you, it is honestly, content creation is quite
Mhm.
often a very thankless task. And,
Yeah.
really is a it's a passion project for people. It's something that
Mhm.
we so gravitated towards, and then for you to, like, go about it in a legitimate, professional way to be able to break
Mm.
into that market is so awesome to see. So well done to you.
Oh, that is so kind of you to say. Thank you so much. And I think as well, just to speak on that a little bit, I feel like there are a lot of creators out there and, a lot of women specifically in this industry as well who have done this amazing job in taking content creating, whether it's streaming, whether it's editing, like, oh my God, I can't speak today, whether it's video editing, whether it's making other content around that. They've been doing it as a hobby and they've somehow managed to shift that and turn it into a full-time gig for them. Firstly, bravo. That's incredible. But I feel as though there are so many people who also want to make that leap from doing content creation and they want to find themselves within the game industry and they want to sort of make that jump, which is something that I feel like can be quite tricky to do. I feel like the biggest thing around that is, making sure you can have your own portfolio to showcase your own work. Because a lot of people don't
Yeah.
realize, like you said, it's a big job, it's a big effort. All your content creating and everything that you've done is your portfolio, and it's something that you should definitely advocate and showcase to the world if you do want to move into that space.
Yeah, definitely. I'm constantly banging on about all of the women in this space and telling them that these may seem like soft skills, but
Mm,
combined
mhm,
uh, in this space, it's incredibly skillful,
mhm,
and it's something that I think a lot of companies do want. They want
mhm,
creative people. They want people to be, very engaged with the content that they create. So,
mhm,
if you're listening, and I'm sure Alexandra will agree
mhm.
with me here, put it on your LinkedIn.
Oh,
Okay, put it on there.
mhm,
Honestly,
mhm,
there are so many. I've, you know what? Okay, speaking of content creation, I've seen, like, recently, the defense forces and, like, the police doing all
mm,
these trending TikTok videos, and then I saw that because I'm in Perth, I saw that
mhm,
the Perth police were looking for a content creator, and I was
mhm,
like, so someone to, like, go around and, like, make it more I guess a more personal, like, approach, showing their
mhm.
soul, I suppose.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, honestly, these are honestly wanted skills.
Yeah, 100%. I love that you use the example of like the police force because like I know in New South Wales, like our New South Wales police force TikTok is like it's so popular. It's so popular. Like the New South Wales police force are like they've got a really good social media presence. And I feel like there are so many content producer and so many social media jobs out there. And I don't I'm going to try and say this in a way that makes sense, but I know that a lot of people who are making their own content and stuff, I don't always think the skills are transferable. However, if you go about it the right way and you treat it as a profession and not just a hobby, then you can develop the skills and you can develop a really solid portfolio. And if you have the right marketing mindset around that, then you can take that to those brands and say, hey, here's what I've done. I've grown this account from 0 to X, and this is the ROI on that. And, you can then you can essentially butter up your own skills to show them. But for me personally, I don't have a marketing degree, and I found myself in multiple marketing roles. So if I could do it, you could do it too.
Yes, I believe that, having a more practical experience in some
Mhm.
cases can be more valuable than you coming straight out of university from a marketing
A piece
degree,
of
with
paper, yeah.
with a really expensive piece of paper, and then,
Mhm.
entering the place with next to no experience, because I don't think any of those degrees have any practical elements. Like, I mean, I could be wrong,
Mm, I
but
I feel like Yeah. Oh, sorry to cut you off. I'm just trying to
No,
think
no,
if
that's
any of
okay.
them do. I feel like some of the marketing degrees don't have like, it's not like you're doing like placements and stuff like that. Like you're not doing
Yeah,
internships.
yeah.
Maybe you are. Like I think some graphic design degrees get you to do internships, but I think a lot of them just like rely on like major projects and whatnot to really showcase your work. So getting
Mm,
hands-on experience, to your point, is like so valuable, especially if you're coming right out of university.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But was this always your goal, Alexandra? Was
Oh,
this always the plan?
that's a really good question. I love that question. I don't think going into the games, oh, well, I don't know if it was like the end goal for me. I think the end goal, like a lot of people, I think is to make my own business and be a full time content creator, because that's a dream, right? But I think once I'd started content creating and once I started streaming, I found myself really enjoying it, but also really enjoying the behind the scenes of it. Like I loved the admin of it. I loved being able to look at how my post performed. I loved it, creating the content for those platforms instead of being the person behind, like, sorry, in front of the camera. So like, doing the promo, doing all that stuff like that for me didn't resonate as well as I love being behind the camera and I love creating the content. So I guess with that being said, I always approached content creating and live streaming from the get go like a business plan. Like I never wanted it to just be a hobby. I wanted to go into it, and I had I can go pull out my old diaries. I have like my diaries full of like all the things that I had to write down for like what I wanted to do and start in live streaming. Like I have to, do X amount of posts. I had to, do this for OBS. Like I had all these little checklists, and like I had a really nice little business plan, like a little structure of all the things that I wanted to do to be able to get from point A to point B to grow online and become a successful content creator. And as I started to grow and as I started to see like a little bit of success on, Twitch and TikTok, I then realized I had so much more of a love for content production and creating and video editing and filmmaking. So I kind of pivoted and I said, you know what? Why don't I go down this path and why don't I see where I can go from there? So that's when I found myself in my first full time gig, which was with Rode Microphones. So I was the creative partnerships coordinator. So I went onto the other side of that. I went and joined the other side where I was working with creators as the brand. And
Yeah.
that then allowed me to take the experience from that and then spearhead myself into my next role, which was working with a charity and their marketing team with gaming. So I don't know if it was always the goal, but I am definitely happy I landed here and I'm very happy that I found myself here.
Yeah, definitely. I really love that you've always seemed to have an open mind to everything, and you've really just kind of like, and I love this saying, grow with the flow. Like,
Oh, I love that. Can I steal that?
yeah,
Can that go for free? I love that.
yeah,
That's so good.
you can take that one. That's one, just one for free. No, I'm kidding.
Just one. Charge for the rest, of course. Know your worth.
No moment. No, but honestly, I think probably the biggest thing is, and I feel this as well, is
Mhm.
just honestly go with your gut, like
Mm,
just if you're doing things that make you happy
mm,
and you're enjoying yourself, you're developing skills, you're meeting people,
mm.
I I feel like that is the best way to approach this creative journey.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. And I think a lot of people, especially like a lot of women, will feel that, like maybe in their like their heart and their gut, like they might know, oh, this is a good segue to talk about intuition. Like I feel like a lot of women have
Mm,
a really good intuition for things. So especially online, if something it doesn't sit right with you or it's not feeling right, whether it's your own content and where you want to go with it, like if you feel like you want to pivot and do something else, do it. Trust your gut. Or if it's about, I don't know, maybe something or someone in your community that's not sitting right with you, trust your gut always. I think
mhm, mhm.
that's such a good point to go towards.
Oh, I'm you know what? You've got that fully mature brain vibe, and I'm enjoying it,
Frontal
because
lobe is
it was
developed.
truly, yeah, I can definitely see that, and, because quite frankly, like, I'm the most myself I've ever
Mm,
been, and, like, growing
yeah.
growing up in such a transformative time,
Mm,
especially with technology and things like that, like, I honestly am
mhm,
more trusting of my intuition than ever, and I think there needs to be, more, uh more celebration of
Mm,
women's intuition, because it's something that makes us incredibly special
mm,
in any community that we were
mhm,
in, whether it's gaming or whatever. So I love that you've brought that up. Thank you for bringing that here, because you know,
mhm,
we're here for it. We're here for the lady
mm.
vibes. I love that.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, something that we spoke about recently, and I was very lucky to be attending DreamHack, and we did our panel
Yay.
on, and I was joined by Alexandra here, and honestly, I think we could have been on that stage for like
Oh,
triple the time, um,
truly.
talking about that topic. And if
Mhm,
you missed it, I'll put the link in the description,
mhm,
because we talked about some really, really important points about navigating being a woman in gaming,
mm,
and different experiences and different tools uh, to help with that. And like honestly, I will remember that for the rest of my
mhm.
life. Like, honestly,
Yeah.
it wasn't packed, but like, how did
Mm.
you feel? How did you feel doing that, and then coming out from that?
Yeah, it was so the panel itself. I think Doom. I could be mistaken, but I think Doom Cutie came up with the name. It was Control Plus Empower, or Control and Power, and it
Yeah.
was and navigating the gaming matrix as a woman. And it was firstly for me, the panel meant so much to me. It resonated in such a visceral place. Like it was so important to talk about it, especially on a stage. So I mean, shout out to DreamHack for letting us have that stage to be able to speak on such an important
Definitely.
topic. But yeah, for me, like you said, it's something that I'm going to hold very dear to me for quite some time. And albeit the crowd, I believe towards the end we had quite a full crowd, but
Yeah, we
people
did.
were there, yeah, and people who were there who listened. I heard a lot of whispers in the crowd afterwards about how that resonated with them, and I think that's so important. Getting
Mm,
some women from the space, not just like I feel the fact that we're all not just content creators, but yourself, you've worked with brands and you've written with other brands as well. Like you've been around the space for quite some time, and myself being a content creator, plus also working within the industry, having different minds from the space and the
mm.
industry, being able to speak to what it is to be a woman in this space, it was so valuable, I think. And not only did we give some really important resources for people, we were able to speak from our own like anecdotal experiences as well, because I don't think a lot of people recognize how well, the different kind of challenges that we face, and even the ones that aren't so blaringly obvious. Like there are so many challenges that kind of go under the radar as well, just like sort of
Mm.
finer things that are very nuanced but still exist and still create a barrier to this day. So being able to share that on a large platform, I think was really valuable.
Oh, definitely. I think we're all seeking connection, I feel.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm,
uh, and being able to see women who have had similar experiences, or I suppose people would call it courage to talk
mm,
about those kinds of things. But I don't find it I don't find that I'm displaying courage. I feel like
mm,
uh I'm just talking facts.
mhm.
Women
It
are
is
treated
interesting.
horrendously.
Mm,
We see it all the time in these
mhm,
spaces, and we experience it. We still do to this
mm,
day. But the longer you're here, and the more you love it, um,
mm.
the less it bothers you.
Yeah,
Um,
that's it. Yeah, and there was actually someone in the crowd I remember asking a very valid question, and I think they said something to the tune of how do you continue to have these conversations because they're exhausting, and how do you deal with that? And quite frankly, as women in this space, I feel like it is exhausting. It is a very difficult
mm,
conversation to have, but it's one that has to happen so things can get better and they can change. So
yeah,
as
definitely.
exhausting yeah, as exhausting as the conversation might be, it's something that we have to continue doing, and we have to continue being loud, I think. And it's not I don't even think it's being loud. I think it's just existing. I think it's
Yes.
existing and making sure that our voices are heard within this space because, like we said on that panel, I think women make up, was it 48%
Yeah.
of all gamers? And in Australia, from the households that were surveyed from the IGEA Plays presentation, that's
Mhm.
insane to me. The fact that there's such a large demographic of women who play games, yet there's so little conversation about how women are represented in the space. And that's why it's so important for us to continue having those conversations.
Exactly. Exactly, and I think, yeah, I felt like the person that did, stand up and talk, I was very grateful that people asked questions, but
Yeah.
I can understand how it can be disheartening and how it's like, well, why should I have to continually advocate for myself? Why do I need to do that? And quite frankly, it's because we are still carving out this space. And
Mhm.
I think the more we are in these conversations, the more we put ourselves out there, the more we show up for ourselves
Mhm.
and other women, that is the thing that's going to make the change.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, you look at creators, 10 years ago now, and I know the space hasn't obviously been around for that long, and 10 years seems like a lifetime ago, but
Yeah,
women in that space then, were having the same conversations, except it was harder and not many people were as listening. So,
yeah,
now we have the opportunity to be the change that you want to see. And that's a very cheesy thing to
exactly.
say, but especially if you do want to be a content creator, you do sort of take a bit of that responsibility on board with you when you step into that role. So yeah,
Mm,
it's a hard conversation to have. It's exhausting, but we'll keep uplifting each other and being there for each other. I think that's very important.
definitely. And
Yeah.
I I kind of want to talk a little bit more about you in the sense of your specific challenges. What have been your biggest barriers, in this space to feel successful and to feel like that you're uh, participating in the
Mm.
most genuine way that you can?
Oh, that's such a thoughtful question. No, thank you for asking that. I think for me, when it looks, I think success looks different for everyone. So it's a
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
bit of a hard question to answer. But I think for me, one thing that I always really struggle with was N not necessarily like how I was perceived and treated in the online space as a woman, but almost how I was perceived and treated as a woman IRL, explaining what I do. And
Mm,
it became really difficult to try and explain to a lot of my friends, my family even, about wanting to be a content creator and be a video editor and, wanting to be a filmmaker and all those, content producer in
yeah.
this space. And a lot of them I feel like felt that these roles were reserved for men, and I don't and it was just an unheard bias that they had that was a really hard thing to break, and it was a stigma around that. And I still feel like I'm fighting that to this day. I still feel like a lot of people don't understand that, there are women, especially from, behind the scenes. And there are so many women who work in the games industry now that I'm slowly learning about. And I'm so thankful to have those connections now. Like there are some amazing women in the space, like Kitty and Carrie. Like there's so many amazing
Yeah,
community managers out there. And it just feels like it's still such a boys club, and it still feels like you have to do more just to prove that you are worthy of being where you are. Like there are so many, and I'm not trying to, play the blame game and point fingers, but I
it's
feel as
okay.
though there, men quite often can do the bare minimum, if you will, and still be fine and they'll be respected. Whereas I feel as though women need to go above and beyond to get that respect and just to be seen at the same level, which is the most frustrating thing. And it's something that I think I've seen and felt within working in the games industry and working within that space. As a content creator and as someone who was live streaming for, multiple years, I think just the rampant sexism that runs very, very deep within live streaming, unfortunately. I see you're getting ready. You're, you're
Oh.
so ready to talk about that. But, for me, even in the speedrunning community, and I don't even think I've really made mention of this, but it was really disheartening when, there were people who I thought were really close friends of mine who genuinely just wanted to they had ulterior motives, and
Yeah.
they sent me pictures that I was not consenting of, and it was just incredibly disappointing because I just wanted to be taken seriously as a speedrunner and as a content creator in the live streaming space. And
Yeah.
to have some people look at you as just a girl being silly on the internet, I'm like, that's not what I am at all. And it was incredibly frustrating. And I can see you feel it. It's I can see
The
you get
internal
it.
I'm squirming because I know exactly how that feels,
Mhm.
because it was
Yeah.
even when I started this
Mhm.
podcast, they were
Mm.
like, "Oh, what are you gonna talk about?" Oh, like, "Oh."
I
I
know.
think
Like, not
I'm
it makes you
like,
so mad. I get it.
"Whatever I want."
As you
And,
should.
like, and I yeah, I con and I had to, like, I've had to, you know, validate
Mhm.
myself,
Mhm.
in this space. And, I honestly, the struggle is real. It really,
Mhm.
really is. I
Mhm.
was up last night watching the women-led games showcase,
Yeah.
and I that live stream chat was
Mm.
disgusting.
I believe it, unfortunately.
I I cannot believe that there were some people that just
Mhm.
watched it to
Mhm.
make horrendous comments.
Yeah. Yeah, they just tuned in
Um,
just so they could do that.
and this was pre-filmed.
Mm.
They're not live. They're not going to, like, interact with you or anything. So they were
Mm.
simply there to just make it known, to kind of, like, almost like, and this is going to sound terrible, but it
Mhm.
feels like, when a dog marks their territory by
Yeah.
pissing on something.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like was
Mhm.
happening. It was
Honestly,
like
they're
we
just a
couldn't
big
just
echo chamber.
I just I was like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah.
And yeah, like, the
Mhm.
amount of pressure there is to
Mm.
break through
Mhm.
that, the glass ceiling, or, like, to use, like, a
Mhm.
term. I remember studying that in school. I was like, "What do you mean, a glass ceiling? What do you
What
mean?"
is that? Mm.
What is that? But no, to legitimize ourselves, especially in an industry that a lot of people assume is male dominated when it's not,
Mhm.
um,
Mhm.
from, the business side and then the consumer side,
Mm.
is yeah, that is actually the exhausting part.
Mhm.
And people often sorry, men often confuse passionate women for angry women.
Yes.
All
Yes.
the time.
Mhm.
I've spoken to many game developers, people who work in games, and these women say that
Mhm.
whenever they're in these rooms full of men,
Mhm.
and they experience that, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like when you say something but you don't get listened to, and then a man will say it and
I've had
they're instantly listened to
I've had that happen.
all the time. And
All the time.
then yeah, just, like, getting passionate is
Mhm.
apparently aggressive.
Mhm.
It comes across that way.
Mhm.
So the challenge is real, and I think that anyone
Mm.
who says that, "Oh, like, what barriers? Women, you just get to be pretty and you can just get whatever you want." That is not the case whatsoever. And, like, what is pretty? Pretty is subjective.
Mhm.
For men, it's pretty simple. There's
Mhm.
probably a very simple uh, equation there of
Mhm.
of what is, conventionally pretty. But, like, I don't think any one of us go into this because we wanna be
Mm.
called pretty every day. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you
but
hit the nail on the head. And, if I had, if being pretty got you places, I feel like I feel as though we would be in a very, very different society. But no, it's very frustrating when, I think a lot of women in the space, and in the industry, and I would just say in the workplace in general, very often feel like they need to adjust their behavior to make other people feel comfortable. And quite often, they like I know for myself, like when I'm writing emails, for example, I'm quite an emotive person. I tend to write a lot of, exclamation marks, but like, and all those sorts of things. I have to reread my emails and I look at them and I'm like, all right, I'm going to take out that exclamation mark. I'm going to take this out. I'm going to take out if that makes sense, because it does make sense. I wrote it and I know it makes sense, and you're going to understand it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
making sure that and it's a good thing that I'm learning how to use my like affirming language for myself in that sense, but it's
Yeah.
also bad that I need to check what I'm writing, because the way I write it may not come off as professional because I'm being empathetic in what I'm saying. And I feel like the way I write is quite feminine. So, and
Yeah.
we were saying this just before as well, like my name, we are talking about how I like to be approached. And, obviously my name is Alexandra, but, sometimes I'll go as Alex. And, I will quite often sign off my emails as Alex, because sometimes people then don't know if it's if a man or a woman is signing off, and or sorry, someone who identifies as man, woman, or they them. And so it's it's quite, I think that can be quite good to leave a little bit of ambiguity, sorry,
Yeah.
ambiguity, yeah, being ambiguous. Sorry, I can't speak today, but I think, but
Or
yeah, I think, yeah,
even
yeah,
being addressed as like Miss or Mrs. Like,
yeah. Mm,
uh, I just, as someone who does identify as a woman, like, why
mm,
does it matter what my
mhm,
what that is? Like, I just,
yeah,
because for men it doesn't change, but
mhm,
for women, it's different when you're a girl, it's different when you're married, and it's different if you
yeah,
have been married.
mhm.
Um, and I just, does it matter?
No, exactly.
I
Like, I know men get Mister, and I think what's when you're like a young
I
boy,
think it's
you get
master.
Master, I think, yeah, and then, obviously
If that
women, like
doesn't
you
give
said.
you a complex, I don't know what will.
Exactly. So I always go as Ms, because I'm like, Miss or Mrs, it doesn't matter, like
Yeah, it
my
doesn't.
marital status shouldn't change how you treat me at all. Which is
Exactly.
yeah, quite frustrating. But yeah, I feel as though, in the workplace having to change, like, the thing is as well, like, being having emotion, and being, I wouldn't say being emotional per se, but having emotion in the workplace, and being empathetic, and being able to
Mm,
carry yourself with that, I think is a really important thing, because that in itself is a soft skill. Like being able to read the room, being able to be there for people, being able to talk to your colleagues in a way that is, it makes sense and is appropriate, I think is very important. And
yeah.
having to somewhat, I guess, neglect a part of that just so you can be taken seriously is quite frustrating sometimes.
Look, it's a constant, juggling act. I
Mhm.
definitely agree with that, and it's about,
Mm.
obviously, you don't wanna act the same,
Mhm.
as you do on stream or at work or, in the club or
Mm.
wherever you are. I
Of course. Professionalism is important.
Yeah, but I
Mhm.
think a lot of people, especially when work takes up a lot of your time,
Mm.
you kind of water yourself down, and then that's
Mm.
kinda like your new normal, and then people, like, wonder why they're, so unfulfilled or so miserable, and it's
Yeah.
because they're not living their most authentic self, and
Mhm.
yeah, I think
Mhm.
anyone out there who's questioning, why don't they feel, comfortable
Mhm.
or as happy as they could be, it's
Mhm.
probably an adjustment there. And like, no, honestly, everyone has something to offer. Everyone is beautiful and useful and has a place. And as
Mhm.
much as we bang on about it being a struggle at times
Mhm.
to be a woman in this space, I honestly, have had probably some of the most, uh, heartwarming experiences, in this space as well. So
Mhm.
yeah, whenever I go to conventions, whenever I go to events or meetups or anything like that, everyone is incredibly welcoming, and,
Mhm.
um, I honestly, I've experienced nothing like it before.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, to your point as well, I think there is definitely a sense of like camaraderie amongst like all creators. I think, we all share a very common passion and, drive, and, not just creators, but gamers as well. And
Yeah.
especially at expos, like I feel like the most recent one that we just had was DreamHack. And
Mhm.
I've never seen so many creators in one space, and seeing them all come together for a common cause was just the most beautiful thing. And, I think a lot of people have developed friendships out of this space that they will have forever. And that is just, that's beautiful. And I, have seen and developed those relationships myself. And,
Mhm.
it's very uplifting. And, as much as there are negatives that come with this space and, being a woman online and being a woman in this space, there are still so many positives as well. And that's definitely something that shouldn't be overlooked from any perspective.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just hope that it continues to grow, continues to level up.
Mhm.
I hope I continue to grow and level up. I hope you do.
Yes.
I hope that everyone just, kicks their goals and yeah, just has the most enjoyable time that they can. And yeah,
Mhm.
that's what I'm here to do.
Yeah.
And speaking of next steps, what
Mhm.
what's next for Alex? What's the goal? What's the plan? Tell us.
Oh. Oh my goodness. That's whew, we're going in strong with this one. I guess for me in terms of where I'd like to see myself, short term, I am about to start a new role with the agency I mentioned earlier about video editing and content specialist. So for me, I think I've really focused quite heavily on my career the past year and a half to 2 years, and I'm really thankful for that. I feel like I've been able to really develop a lot of hard skills within this space as well as the soft skills too. But being able to put some new things on my resume, I think has been really, really beneficial for me. I really do miss content creating, and I think for me, in the next couple of years, I want to really knuckle down and get better at filmmaking and creating some really beautiful stories and sharing those. I think telling a narrative is something that I'm not particularly great at, and something that I would like to get better at. I recently changed my tagline on my Instagram to chaotically cinematic because I feel like I can be a lot like that sometimes. I feel like I go through the ebbs and flows of things, but I want to capture that all cinematically. So I want to share how I see life and how I see the beauty in life through my social media. And hopefully that can inspire others to maybe do the same. And then, somewhere in the middle of that, continue progressing my career. So that's kind of where I want to be. Mhm.
There's
Thank
also
you.
something else that I want to ask you about. You are an incredible photographer. And
Oh.
not only are you an incredible photographer, you're an incredible subject. Just
Oh my
everyone, just take a
god.
look at this. Look at
Where did you get?
this.
Oh my gosh, I did
Where
not.
did I get that? This was on her birthday, 28, and she ate.
I 28. 20 really did age. Oh, you're
She is look at absolutely stunning. If you are listening, please go over to her Twitter. I refuse to
mm,
call it X, or it's on her
fair.
Instagram. And yeah, just hype her the f up because honestly,
Mhm.
perfection. And you know
Oh,
what? Like just stunning. Like just incredible.
I'm
You
going
know,
more red. My goodness, thank you. Oh,
it's
that's
okay.
so
We're very
sweet of
pink
you.
around here, so it's fine.
I'll blend in, it's fine.
um. Okay. Posting that content online,
Mhm.
knowing that that photo is very, like, it's so feminine, but also so powerful. And you encapsulate that so well. And I just want you to know that we love to see it.
That's so nice of you. Thank you. That is honestly, I think that is probably the highest compliment that I could potentially receive for the video,
Oh,
not video, sorry, for the photos that I put up online. Because for me personally, I love photography and it's one of my favorite things to do. And not only do I love capturing, everything else, but I love being able to capture, I guess myself in different moments. Because for one, the reason I started photography is because I have a really bad memory. Like I want to be able to look back on these things one day and be like, yeah, that's what I did on
yes.
that day, or that's what was doing there. Like it's more for me to capture those memories more than anything else. And then, I guess another thing to tie into that is, you know. I am such an advocate for, women in this space. And I want there to be a way to showcase that you can be feminine and you can enjoy like showing off, like, your body if you want to, in a way that doesn't have to, detract from anything else. Like you don't need your
Yeah.
if you want to showcase your body, if you want to I don't know, show some arms, show some legs, show some stomach. I don't know, whatever you want to do. It doesn't detract from how intelligent you are, or like how smart you are, or how like, clever you are in that space and everything else that you do. And I think that it's really important to do that because, for me, it doesn't matter it doesn't matter what photos I post of myself. I still have like the same brain up in here and I'm still using that to get the jobs that I get and
Yeah,
do the things that I do behind the scenes with the brands that I work with. And, I think that's really important.
that's fine. And you know what? You are celebrating. You're
Oh.
celebrating yourself. And
Mhm.
what have you watched?
Mhm.
Uh, Schitt's Creek.
I haven't,
Um,
but I've heard it's really good.
there is a quote, and she's like,
Mhm.
"You are wait. Take all the pictures of
Mhm.
yourself. You might
Oh.
think you're too spooky and have tiny boobies, but
I
but
love it.
when you get old."
I hear that. I
uh,
hear that for sure. I love it. I love it so much. I think it's important. It's important to capture you, and a lot of people shy away from being in front of the camera. And I definitely feel like it's something that I've learned over the years how to be better in front of the camera. But I think it's nice to be able to capture those moments and be able to look back on them and be like, yeah, that's what I looked like on my 28th birthday. Like that's nice. And I mean, not to be narcissistic, but it's I think it's a good thing. Like I like to capture those moments. So yeah.
you're not narcissistic. You're a queen.
No,
You're a
so
queen, doll.
you
You please do not give me that. It's not narcissism.
no,
You're great.
you're so
Keep doing that.
I love the photos that you post as well. Like you have like the most every time I see a selfie from you, I think your eyes are the most beautiful thing. Like you have the most piercing blue eyes and they just strike me every time and I'm like, who gave her the right? Like honestly. I adore it
Yes.
and it makes me so happy.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, look, look, in the past, I've been told, like, I'm attention seeking for doing that. I don't know if anyone has said that to you.
Oh, always.
Um, like, I don't even know the proper thing to say. I'm like, Who cares?" Like, I'm putting myself out there.
Yeah.
I want more.
Mhm.
First of all, I want more brunettes out there because I swear growing up, all I ever saw was
Mhm.
blondes.
Mm.
Um, so
That's so
maybe I have a
fair.
little bit of a complex about that. Like,
Mhm.
you know, Emma Watson was never
Mhm.
pretty until pretty,
Mm.
until she dyed her hair blonde. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Just,
Yeah. Mhm.
blondes have more fun, all that kind of stuff. And, yeah, like, I'm the gaming librarian, femme
Mhm.
vibes. I'm I'm I'm
Mhm.
I'm here for it. And, like,
Mhm.
I wanna celebrate myself because,
Yeah.
I shy away from the camera so much when I
Mhm.
was a teenager. Like, honestly,
Mm.
the glow up was severe.
Oh,
Like, I
yes.
thank goodness none of this social media TikTok existed back
Mhm.
then because there would be evidence of an incredibly
Mhm.
awkward version of Doom Cutie out there in the ether, and
Mhm.
I that's something that I don't think I'd enjoy.
Yeah, I
That's
I
that's
hear you.
and that's coming from a place of love for
Mhm.
myself, because the
Good
amount
for
of
you.
pressure on
Mhm.
teenagers now,
Mhm.
especially girls, to
Mhm.
be perfect, and, like,
Mhm.
honestly, like, we did not look like that when
Mhm.
we grew up. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, I don't know. I'm
I know.
doing a lot of facial expressions right now. If you're listening to me and you're like, "Is she having a fit? Is she?" I'm just trying to make sense of
Trying to
things out
articulate it
loud.
because, like, it's so true, though, like, it's I feel like when we grew up like, I think we're quite close in age, I believe, and, when we grew up, I think it was so different, the landscape was so different, right? We
Yeah,
didn't have the opportunity to post ourselves like that online, and if we did, it was, seeing kids on MySpace taking photos with their, like, digital cameras, right? That was the vibe of it,
yeah,
yeah, it's so different. Like I feel like with TikTok, every kid has access to posting themselves, and they have very different role models now to when we grew up, and it's just a
yeah.
very different landscape, right?
Oh, there's something that it's not
Mhm.
specifically related to gaming, but it is
Mhm.
about content creation. So
Mm.
I am totally okay with spicy creators.
Yeah.
Totally fine.
Love it.
Um, you're making bank, you're having fun, you're
Mhm.
enjoying yourself, be empowered. I love that.
Mhm.
SW, totally fine.
Mhm.
Um, now I did see. Now I
Mm.
don't know if you. Oh gosh, now I've
Mhm.
forgotten her name. Why have I forgotten her name?
It'll come back.
It'll come back.
Is it?
Anyway,
Mhm.
these SW workers, and
Mhm.
they're just OF workers. Like I don't think they're providing like full. They're not full service, but
Yeah.
they have like PG versions
Mm.
of their social media,
Mhm.
and there are teenagers who are
Mm.
idolizing that lifestyle that they have, which is enabled by their work in the sex
Mhm.
industry.
Yeah.
How do you, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, it's tough, right? Because I'm very much in the same boat. Like I support all, SW or like sex workers. I'm sure I can say that. I hope I can say that. Anyone who wants to do OnlyFans or wants to put
Yeah,
themselves out there. That's how they're making their income. I fully support that. I think that's a really great way to do that, and to reclaim that part of yourself as well. I think especially from an industry that was very much so male dominated. I think is a really wonderful thing. Um, in terms of how young people end up seeing that type of content within the space, it's really tricky. It
mm,
almost comes back to that conversation about like Twitch, and the first thing you see on Twitch when you open it up without an account is, you know, some spicy
yeah,
creators, and
and there's
it's
no
really
warning
hard.
or anything, like
Yeah, exactly. And there's like again, there's nothing wrong with creators who want to do that. I think if anything, I look at it more as the platforms and the platforms that these creators are on and how the platforms go about navigating that. So, for example,
yeah,
Twitch, I think, could probably do better in how they present those creators. Maybe they don't show them as the first thing on the front page because not everyone wants to see that style of content. And especially if there are young people who are going to be, joining on Twitch for the first time, Twitch needs to do, I think, a better job in how they navigate that. But in terms of other younger people, I'm going to say young girls, as an example, who see these creators, there needs to be a conversation about how they view these creators who do OnlyFans and how they afford this lifestyle. Like, I think a really good example of this would be Anna Paul on TikTok. She's a
that's the
amazing.
one I was thinking.
Oh,
That's who I
amazing!
was thinking about. So
Great,
thank you.
amazing. That's so. Oh my
Yes, but
goodness.
Anna Paul she has some really. I think she
Mhm,
could have been a successful content creator just from her
mm,
life, not
mhm,
necessarily from her work. I don't think her work is the most interesting thing about her.
mm.
However, her work is the thing that helps
Funds
her
her
obviously
lifestyle.
fund her lifestyle, which
Yeah.
is for looking on from an outside point of view, from those snapshots
Mhm,
that she gives us, it
mm.
looks very fun.
Yeah,
And I
that's
can
it.
imagine as a teenage girl being like, you know what, you see Anna Paul in her,
Mm,
bikini or whatever at, some beach in Croatia or whatever,
yeah,
and you're like, you know what, you might look at your body and you might be like
I
I
could do
I think
this.
I kind of look like that. I
Yeah.
it, this seems like a good idea.
Mhm.
Yeah, it is a
Yeah.
tricky conversation.
Yeah, and it's so true because, and I think Anna Paul actually does this quite well in a way because I know she does obviously kind of promote her OnlyFans and her content, her spicy content, but I remember very vividly watching one of her TikToks one day, and I think she started off the TikTok as she normally does, very bubbly voiceover, and then just very casually dropped in there like I'm an OnlyFans worker, and all the comments were flooded, being like, "You're a what?" Like people had no idea that's what she did for work, and I think she's done a really good job building up her own personal brand outside of that. If that, obviously that's what she's chosen to do.
Mm,
But I think a lot of the women in the space who are choosing to do OnlyFans and SW as their line of work, I think there needs to be a conversation around them as a community to to share with the younger women who may look up to them, being like, this is the lifestyle we chose. it's not necessarily all the glamour that we share. And I think that extends to anyone's life on social media, because everything on social media is a highlight reel, right? So
Yeah.
everything I share here is a highlight of what I'm doing, but there are lows that come with this and there are dangers that come with this. And I think it's important that those people who are in or have large followings, such as Anna Paul, can share that and don't just necessarily glamorize every single part of it, because I'm sure there are parts of it which aren't super glamorous that need to be spoken about too. So I think those influencers and those creators have to have that conversation with their audiences who are ever interested in potentially going down that route.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
And I think
Mhm.
it's something that will continue to evolve as technology
Yeah.
evolves, with these industries, whether it be
Mm.
gaming or whether it be sex work, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
I honestly, it didn't even cross my mind. But I think
Mm.
with the more empowerment of women, celebrating themselves and their bodies, their bodily
Mhm.
autonomy, all of that kind of stuff,
Mhm.
you know, I I I
Mhm.
think I've said this in the past, probably not publicly, but I'm not
Mm.
afraid to say it publicly. It's like
Mhm.
women are often shamed for working in one of the oldest professions that there
Mhm.
is, and
Mhm.
they're shamed for selling their body. But
Mm.
how is that different from a builder or laborer,
Mhm.
someone who works in the military and throws themselves around, with
Mhm.
bombs and weapons, and you know, wrecks
Mhm.
their body in working in
Yeah.
45-degree heat, working in the mines.
Mm.
These are incredibly taxing industries on the body,
Mhm.
and I I dare say these people are selling their bodies as
Mm.
well,
Yeah.
just as much
Absolutely.
as just as
Yeah.
much as Anna Paul is.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way that, like, I don't know if those creators like look at it the same way. I think a lot of the time they look at it as they're selling like a service to the people who wish to purchase it. And I think that in itself, you just happen to use your body for that service, as do the
Yeah.
people that you mentioned previously, people who
Yep.
work like blue collar jobs, people who work as
Yep.
tradies and and whatnot. So I think being able to destigmatize like what it is and what the acts are and what you're doing, I think is really important to being able to understand the industry better and being able to break down the walls that are, the barriers
Yeah.
that surround it and, like I said, the stigma. So yeah, it's
Mhm.
you're providing a service to people, and what that service looks like is obviously up to every sex worker. But I think being able to have a conversation about, like we said, the lifestyle and what that looks like and,
Mm.
what it can provide. And I think I didn't mention this before, but one thing a lot of those creators don't talk about is that there's only a finite amount of them that see that amount of success. There are a
That's
lot of
right.
those creators who try that industry and realize either A, it's not for them, or B, they just didn't find it as successful. Because to do something like that, it is a business and you need to market yourself effectively, just like anything else, just like content creation, just like your own personal ventures. I think that's something that gets overlooked quite often. You can't just go into it and, you know, take a few spicy photos, put them up on OnlyFans, and hope that you're going to land yourself $1 million. Like, that's not how that
Yeah.
works. So, yeah, I think people having that conversation about how difficult the work actually is, and then having the conversations around, getting rid of that stigma and the barrier and providing a service rather than just you're selling your body or selling sex, right? Like, you're,
I know, yeah. But
yeah, yeah, yeah,
that's what they
absolutely.
get. Those are the kind of conversations that, or arguments that get thrown at them for sure. Um,
Exactly, exactly.
yeah. But I dare say this similar mindset,
Mm,
you've linked that to, obviously content creation and streaming. Like, I know
mm,
a lot of people that'll just be like, I'm on Twitch every day. I stream
mm.
every day and I have no people watching me, because
Oh.
there's just so much that goes on. You need to be everywhere
Mhm,
all the
mhm.
time. You need to be in other
Yeah.
people's Twitch chats. You need to be commenting and sharing other people's stuff, and you need to be,
Mhm.
making connections with
Yeah,
people. Um,
yeah.
but within that, you also need to have, strong boundaries, because to be fair, as a woman, if I'm nice to a guy, they think I want to have sex with them.
Yes.
Um, And I'm just here to say, just because a lady is nice to you doesn't
Mhm.
mean she wants to do that, and vice versa,
Mhm.
vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
definitely.
yeah. So I think, you know, it's just as it's just as difficult because there are so many things that you need to consider, and it's not just a one-stop shop, you know, a quick
Mm.
road to fame.
Mhm.
Because I don't think I want to be famous. I just want to have the
Mhm.
freedom to create and have a platform to speak and share
Mhm.
that platform with other women. That's all.
Mhm.
I I
Yeah.
don't think I'll ever, I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't
Oh,
think I'll
I
ever be that.
Yeah. No, and you know what? Like, I think if you wanted to put your mind to it, to be famous, if you wanted to go down that route, I believe you absolutely could, 100%. But to your point, I think that when I first started creating, I always had the mindset, and I think I remember telling my audience and my community this, that I didn't want to be massively famous. I didn't want to like have the biggest following in the world. I didn't want to take over Twitch's like number one female streamer. Like I never wanted to do anything like that. I just wanted to make enough so I could be comfy and be cozy at home and pay my
Yeah.
bills and, continue to spread, love. I don't know, it sounds really cliche. I wanted to, just share what I love doing and, have a
Yeah.
platform for that. But, I recognize that a lot of people want to shoot beyond that and they want to, really grow and continue building up their numbers. And that's an absolutely admirable goal as well. Like I think that's incredibly
Mm.
valid.
Yeah, and just
Yeah.
whatever your dream is,
Mhm.
just go for it.
Yeah.
We've had
But
other
yeah.
conversations on this podcast before with,
Mhm.
just make a start. Like your content
Oh,
doesn't have to be super duper whiz bang or anything like
mhm.
that. The best camera you have is the camera in your hand. Most,
Love that. Mhm.
most phones can take really good pictures. I
Mhm.
bought a DSLR 7 years ago, and I'm pretty certain my phone
Mhm.
takes better photos than that does. So that's how fast technology grows.
Mhm.
And yeah, so but do everything 100%. If you're going to go out there and be on Twitch and do live streaming and be a
Mhm.
content creator, consistency, I think, is the biggest key, and just being
Yeah.
open, I think. Alex,
Yeah.
is there anything that you want people to know who are listening, who might be wanting to enter the same industry as you, or might find your journey inspiring?
Oh, that's I really, I mean, I can't, it's so hard for me to imagine like people looking at it and feeling inspired. Like that's so I'm trying to it's
No, I
such a
know. I
sweet
just
thing. I love that. I mean, I hope I am inspiring to someone one day. That would be so lovely.
Alex,
Yeah,
you
I
inspire me every day to move away from wanting a fully white setup, because I always see you have like warmth and like little bits of wood, and I'm like, oh,
oh,
I like
see,
that. So that's very inspirational for me.
I love that. I used to want to have like the all white setup. Like I have photos on my Pinterest of like just the beautiful white aesthetic. And then
Yeah.
started getting a little bit more into tech and lifestyle in terms of like my own content and like reviewing tech products. And I realized a lot of people in that space have so much timber and they brought the warmth back into their space. And I was like, ooh,
Mm.
I like that. I want that. I can mix feminine and wood. They're like, that sounded really bad.
Yeah. Yes.
I can
Yes, you can.
you can mix the feminine and the masculine. Like you can have those two like vibes come together. And I'm like, I can do that with my own
I
space.
adore
I
this.
have I have a bit of white, I got a bit of timber. Like I really, I
Yep.
really love it. So I really hope that doesn't get taken out of context from before. Anyway,
I'm totally clipping that.
please do. I'm here for that. But I guess any advice I could give for people who want to follow in this footpath. I think the biggest thing you can do is um if you're going to be a content creator and you want to take it seriously, treat it seriously, treat it like a job, treat it as if it's your business. Get an ABN if you're Australian, if you haven't already done that. I think I don't think you realize that the amount of work that you put into yourself when it comes to content creating, you can then use later on as your portfolio. And, when I stepped into my first big girl corporate job, I was able to take what my business was, which was, Alexandra Lynn slash Bubble Media, which is the overarching, business of it, and say, here's what I created. Here's how I community managed my community. Here's what I did. And I basically separated my work and what I'd created from myself and had it be its own entity, its own business, and I was able to put that on my resume as my portfolio. And that, if you want to follow that path, I would recommend doing that. I'd recommend brushing up on some marketing skills, some marketing jargon, just making sure that you understand what it is you're, getting into. So you're not just going in and being like, oh my God, look, I have a social media platform. Like, you have to be very articulate in marketing skills for that to happen. But yeah, I think just making sure that you treat what you're doing professionally, and every interaction you have is a potential for someone to, be a part of your network and be a part of your community. So making sure you're putting yourself in front of those opportunities by going to events and being there and having talks to people, even if it's just a very brief conversation, and even practicing your own elevator pitch for yourself. Learning how to do that will put you miles ahead of other people within this space. So doing that for yourself is very important. So I guess that's my little bit of advice.
No, I really, really love that.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like you've dressed for the job you want, not the job you have. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
love it. I
yeah,
love it you said that, because that's what I used to tell my community all the time. Like,
yeah.
I used to treat my stream in a way that was professional. I treated it as if the CEO of Twitch could be watching my stream at any time. That sounds very excessive, but like, I would always be professional, because you want to dress for the job that you want, not the job you
Yeah.
have. So I could not agree more.
That unfortunately, I can't dress up as a professional sleeper. But like
You
we
should.
got to
I
give
mean,
and we got to take some.
look,
Like
you
whatever.
can't see what I'm wearing underneath this, but I am just wearing trackies. So I mean, I
I
think it's
I do have trackies on too.
you can do both. The duality of women, you can do both. You can be anything you want. If it's a professional sleeper, make it happen. I believe in you.
Look, it's a very unserious answer. Oh my goodness,
I try.
Alex. Thank you so much for coming and chatting with us on COAGG Conversations. If you want to catch up with Alex, she's very friendly in the DMs. If you have any questions, I'm sure she'd be more than happy to. I shouldn't say that, but you've always been friendly to me. But I don't know. Yeah, if you want. I'm going to
You
fix
can.
that.
Yeah. No. It's okay. We'll save it. If you want to reach out to me, you're more than welcome to. My DMs mostly open. I think you might have to try and add me first. I don't know. If you ever want to reach out to me, you can reach me on Twitter. It might go to my requests, and we can chat there, and we can
Yeah.
extend that conversation. But yeah, if you are, or you have any questions regarding what I do, this space, in terms of photography, videography, filmmaking, content production, anything along that, I am so happy if you want to reach out to me. I love talking about it, especially with other women who want to get involved. So yeah, please reach out to me.
Incredible. So all her links will be down below. And thank you for joining us for this very special episode of COAGG Conversations.